What's up, guys?
Hello.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Another Cars podcast with me, as always,
This is
Jason Andrews and Courtney Myers.
What number are we on?
I believe this is episode 6,
oh
6.
wow.
I think.
That's
Losing
pretty good.
track.
I think the algorithm really starts to push your podcast after the 6th one, so we're right on track.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is episode 6, confirmed.
With either 1 week or 1 month between episodes, I heard really helps the algorithm too.
We're keeping the people wanting more, you know?
Exactly. Like, are we just getting daily requests on when's the next pod? No.
We have a couple comments kind of like that, just asking just general, like, is Courtney's car work done? And, things like that.
Well, we will talk about that and more.
Good content. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. I think it's a good segue to get a little bit of a round of updates.
Yeah.
So, Jason, why don't you go first? You may have a lot to tell us about your Rivian, so take it away.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too crazy into this, but I will show you guys right here. I have got a 6-page repair thing for my truck. I have it back. It's in the driveway. I'm doing a video. I've recorded some of it. But we got the truck back. I'm very happy to have it. 6 pages of just stuff. And you guys saw just a couple little dents. Do you guys want to know the actual total? It's more than I thought it was.
Let us guess first.
Okay, take a guess.
I'm gonna guess $12,000.
I'm gonna guess much higher than that. I'm gonna guess like 21.
Well, Courtney, you would be closer because if you remember, Mario, in the last episode, I think I said it was $16,000. Now the grand total that has been paid to fix this truck, basically $26,500.
Jeez.
That's close to half of what you paid for the vehicle, no?
That's right. That's right. Just for a couple dents.
I'm surprised they didn't total it out.
Oh, I don't want to go through that either. But I don't know. Just a big warning, a big red flag to anybody that buys a startup company, vehicle company, that replacement parts and things like that are going to be very challenging and expensive. I will say that the shop had to go back with Rivian a few times about like reprogramming, realigning cameras and getting parts at the last minute and things like that. And it seems like the communication with Rivian has been great. So I don't have anything against them. Just very, very expensive.
Yeah. Well, of course their communication was great. They're getting 26 grand for some parts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the body shop is probably the ones making out, mostly. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah, not bad though. All right, so we'll plug Jason's video when it comes out. Can't wait to see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Courtney, you probably have updates for your new toy, your Miata. I know that's got
Yes.
some parts.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, your engine, there's some updates to that as well.
Finally. I'll start with Miata. Miata, thanks to the All-American wrencher, John.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John. We have new seat set, some Corbos. Corbu? Is it Corbu or Corbo? Corbo.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, we have some of whatever those are. We have some of those. 5-point harnesses. Already had a roll bar, so that's existing. Yeah, so new seats, harnesses, so very planted. Completely new brake components, so new rotors, pads, calipers, and brake line, so all new brake. Because when we got it, the brakes were just pretty much shot. So figured, hey, let's just replace it all while we're here, since it's a 25-year-old car. Then got another set of wheels. As you know, I don't roll with just one set of wheels, and some 200 treadwear tires. I got the cheapest ones that was on Tire Rack at the time, and I think those were Toyo R888Rs, which I'm not a huge fan of, but
That's a good tire for that car.
they're a good tire for a little car. I mean, I would never run them on mine, but yeah, it'll be fine. It's better than what was on there. Some probably 24-year-old endurance tire that so it'll be good. Take that out Again, cars and canards. It hasn't been ran a lot, so yeah. So that's the update on the Miata. It got washed. It was dirty, so we gave it a bath. That's about it.
So far on track. I mean, are you enjoying it?
So it's my father-in-law's car. The main purpose was for him to get into the sport that has consumed us. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's slow. It's just like mind-numbingly slow. But what do they say? Like drive a slow car fast, or something like that. So I'm trying to do that. But at the firm, like going down the straight, if you hit the turn 8 apex just perfect, like you're going like 83 miles an hour down the straight, I'm like, oh my god. But it's fun. And I think the real fun part about it is the consumables are cheap. Like I bought that set of tires. It was like 500. There was a 5 on the total bill, like 500 something for a set of tires. I'm like, whoa, that's like cheaper than one of my Shelby tires. So, and all the brake components were several $100s as opposed to several $1,000s, and so it's just a lot cheaper to run. So that's cool. Just not. I need a little more speed. And speaking of speed, the Mustang. So finally, RPG engines out in California got it torn down. Finally, and noticed that each of the cylinder walls were bored out or out of spec by like 5 to 700ths per cylinder. I don't know which ones were worse, or if cylinder 8 was worse, or any of that stuff. But so they were all basic. So the guy's like, yeah, that's probably why I had low compression and oil leaks and stuff like that. So that happened, and actually got a really good quote. Like if we're talking money here, like sub 12 grand to completely rebuild it, including a new Gen 2 block. So starting with a new block that they're gonna put APR studs in it. I don't have it in front of me, but the whole. Actually, let me find it. I want to read what somebody might be interested in this.
So while you're looking that up, a build like that, I mean, obviously, are you getting any type of warranty or anything on it, or no?
No.
No.
No, I didn't. I didn't run it through warranty at all.
No. What he's asking is, are they going to warranty the work?
Oh, I see.
And we've had this conversation, but I'll let you answer the question.
No, so like what they said. Okay, so let me take a step back. So a new updated Ford for Performance block. They're rotating. So their RPG GT350 rotating assembly. So their spec pistons, Manley billet steel, I-beam rods, total seal rings, King and Rod main bearings, APR main studs. And they're going to balance and polish the existing crankshaft, finish block machining, line hone the block with ARP main studs and hone cylinders to finish sides with dual torque plates. I don't understand what all that means, but ARP head studs, GT500 head gaskets, GT350 timing drive kit, and a new oil pump with billet oil pump gears, complete cylinder head valve job with new seals and assembly, and engine assembly to long block form to competition level spec. 11.5 for all of that.
So I'll say this. When I got the text message from Courtney showing me this quote, and he's like, what do you think? And I said, you better pay that invoice fast before they change their mind, because that is an unbelievable price for everything he's getting. So again, I don't know if the fact that it's been, I don't know, 6 months or something, that's how long it's felt anyway.
Yeah.
They're giving him a bit of a sweetheart deal, but having worked in an engine shop for many years, like that's 2008 prices. To get that today, with with everything being so expensive and being a California shop, that is an unbelievable price. I just hope that they stick to it. I don't know if you've paid the invoice yet or
I
not, but
paid a deposit, so
yeah, good. But that sounds very solid, and congrats, buddy. I think you'll be very happy with it.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the plan the plan when I get that back, hopefully sooner than later. Everything I've heard about this shop, whether and maybe people are just telling me this to make me happy, but once they get started on something, they run through it pretty quick. It's just like the queue to get it started may take a while. We'll see if that's true, but if I could get it back within another month or so, that would be fantastic. And then the plan is to obviously install it. Might do headers. I got a new clutch. Shout out to the driver mod. Got a Vengeance Stage 2, so new clutch. While we're doing that, maybe headers, but definitely going to tune it to E85 and then turn it up a little bit and see if with that engine, E85, maybe headers, maybe change the intake up out a little bit, low to mid fives wheel, and go have some fun. So that's the GT350 update.
They didn't give you any like ETA on when you might expect it?
No, so I'm going through another shop, Dirty Racing Products out of Green Cove Springs. He's been good to work with. I mean, still it's moving slow. I don't know if that's his fault, RPG's fault, whoever's fault it is. It's just I've come to learn that this stuff never goes fast. So tampering my expectations, but no, they've been great to work with. So no, to answer your question, I don't have a good solid timeline. Other than it should move quick. I don't know. That's relative. I don't know how quick is quick, whether that's another month or another 6 months. So, but this channel will be the first to know. That is not true. This channel won't be the first to know, but I will let this channel know as soon as I have an update.
Well, I will say that I hope it doesn't get to you before Christmas, which I know it won't, because if it did, it would ruin your Christmas gift, and it'll make sense once you get it next week when I see you at Cars and Canards.
I have a feeling it's something about me blowing engines, but
it is not.
Oh, okay.
It is not. I won't say more than that because I don't want to give it away.
Fair enough.
But
I'm looking forward to that.
But I hope you like it.
Hey, if anyone in the comments, just leave it down below. What month of 2025 do you guys think Courtney will have his car, like the first startup? What month?
Oh, that's a good one.
I really hope I'm here to see it. You know, if I'm leaving in September, I don't want to sound Debbie Downer, but I really hope I get to see it on track before I go.
Yeah,
so you have an official date to leave now?
Well, no, not exactly, but somewhere around September.
Circa September 2025?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll have another track day before then, and if it's not my 350, I'll borrow Mario's and throw a wing on it or something.
That's right. We'll trick them. We'll trick the people.
Yeah.
Quick car update for me. So the Kia is at the body shop. My estimate wasn't quite as big as yours, Jason. A little under 4,000. It's like 3,900. They had to get a new door, and then clean up a wheel, the rear bumper, and then small scratch to the front passenger door. Estimated return day is Christmas Eve. They said they'll try to get it to me like before the Christmas weekend. They've had it since 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna go after them on depreciated value. And unfortunately the person who hit me didn't have a lot of coverage. So like the max I'll be able to get is like another $6,000. Because I think they had like the minimum 10,000, whatever it is.
State minimum, yeah.
And so, repairs about 4,000. I didn't take a rental car just so that I don't want to lose any money because the money comes from that pot basically.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So the good thing about it is that I've been driving my M3 every day, like car seat in the back of the M3, driving the kid around with the top down. I've done like over 2,000 miles since we last recorded episode 5, and it's been flawless. And when I tell you flawless, like I am in love with the car. Like when you buy a new car and you're like, oh, you need me to go to the store? I'll be right back. Like that level of feeling, but with my 2006 M3. Haven't moved the Mustang in, I don't know, 3 weeks. Just I'm in love with the M3. Like I can't get enough of it, so it's been great. And I've done like little things to the car, like the front grille flew off on me at the like on the highway. Like they're known for just like the taps break off. So I did replacement front grills, fix a stupid little thing with the seatbelt here and there, and just like tiny little things to make it like perfect. And it starts. John did the starter for me, so it needed a starter, and I drove it to Jack's. And shout out to John. Um, I thought it was gonna take him forever, and like I could have waited around for the car. Like that's how fast he did it. I dropped it off in the morning, and I ended up driving to Jack's at like 10 p.m. the same day. I was just so eager to get the car. I Ubered back to the car, and I picked it up, and it's been flawless since. So, uh, for the Mustang, Santa Claus came early and got me a little present that I will reveal next weekend at Carson Cunard's. So.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, shout out to Santa Claus. I am very, very grateful. Um, the set of tires, what are those? I forget what those tires are that I ordered 6 months ago that they couldn't get into the US finally showed up. What the hell are those called? Hang on.
I do have a set of Hoosier Time Attack Pros mounted on
I believe I forgot the name of those tires.
my garage, Mario. So
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be sweet if you got to break those? The Nankangs finally came to me. My Nankangs that I ordered like 6 months ago. I was just told that they're finally a couple weeks away, which they've been a couple weeks away for 6 months.
nice.
So they won't be here on time for Carson Menards. So I'll still run the tires I have on now, which they're new anyway. Um, well, only the fronts are new. I have old rear tires, which may be fun. Next week we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
Goosey goosey.
yeah, but those are kind of my car updates. There's nothing new from me. Um, Since we last recorded, a certain little pony went around the Nurburgring and set a
Yeah.
new record for an American car. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think that can be a good way to end the pod.
You guys want to end with that? You guys rather talk about Cadillac entering F1, which was huge news as of a couple of weeks ago. I know,
Yeah,
Courtney, you don't watch F1 as much.
let's end with the GTD.
Okie doke. So
Am I
yeah,
going in order here?
no. I was just trying to segue from one Mustang to another,
Oh,
but
I see. Yeah, good. No, whatever, man. I'm not the.
but let's talk about Cadillac and F1 because I think it's going to be great for American motorsports in general. Um,
Hmm.
I know, Courtney, I don't know how much you follow F1. I know Jason watches
Yep.
some. Um, but what's crazy is the drama behind it. So they had applied to get in, and they were denied because of Andretti. And I actually ran into Michael Andretti at Daytona last year. And I asked him, I said, "Can you tell me anything?" He's like, I can't tell you anything, right?" It's like, okay. And I had a moment with him. I told him I was named after his father, which was he liked it. It was a nice moment. Um, it's not true, but it's what I told him. And so, yeah,
Had me fooled.
I mean, it's a great story. Maybe I was. I don't know. I never really asked. But the the interesting part is that as of yesterday, I believe they announced that for the first 2 years, I believe. So in 26, they're entering. So 26 and 27, they're going to be powered by Ferrari. So they're going to be a Ferrari customer on the engine side for the first 2 years, and they're going to bring their own power unit. In F1, they don't call it engine because it's more than one component. So the power unit is going to be produced by General Motors by 2028, which is amazing, right? Like so, because we're going to basically have Ford versus GM because Ford is with will be with Red Bull after 2026 or from 2026 going forward. So we're gonna have a good little American rivalry fight between those two. Um, very excited to see what they do. They haven't announced who the drivers are gonna be or anything like that. They announced the team principal so far, and there is a a handful of names out there for who the drivers are gonna be. So in about a year's time, we should know because they'll be testing and stuff. Very interesting stuff, and I think it's only going to help, right? Like F1 has grown in America in the last few years because of Drive to Survive and things like that. And now we have 3 races in the US. They're talking about a 4th race in the US, possibly in New York or Chicago. If you ask me, that's too many. Like, right? Like 3 is plenty. I've been to the Miami race in 2022. I'd like to go to Vegas or the Texas race next year. But definitely once Cadillac is in, it would be awesome to go witness, another American team. They currently have Haas, but they're not really that much of an American team. They're also Ferrari powered at the moment. But yeah, just very, very excited. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. I am a little disappointed they're not using their own engine. Okay. I don't understand GM's cash management. F1 seems like a very expensive sport, and GM isn't doing the best financially as a company. I assume that maybe they get most of their money from sponsorships. So that's funny to me. And then also, this is a little weird. So when Alfa Romeo was racing last year, I actually got a lot of joy like having an Alfa Romeo, watching like kind of rooting for Alfa Romeo on the track. And I would be lying if I said I didn't think like, oh, maybe it's time to get a Corvette or something now. You know what I mean? Now that GM's going to be racing in F1, I'm not announcing anything or anything, but I did kind of have that thought, like how could I support by not really supporting and have a little bit more fun and connection with the sport? And yeah, I mean, maybe racing around a Corvette or something could be cool.
Yeah.
So on the engine side, so the reason that they don't have their own engines because it takes many years to develop one. And when Michael Andretti applied, like Andretti Global applied to enter F1, F1 kind of told them like, unless you bring a manufacturer with you, we're not really going to take you seriously. And then Cadillac said, okay, or GM said, okay, we'll bring the Cadillac brand. But at the time, it was only supposed to be kind of like a Alfa Romeo Sauber as of a couple of years ago. Like they were just a sponsor name. They didn't really do anything in F1. Um, and then they're like, oh, that's not good enough. And so now Cadillac or GM has committed. And so by 2028, they'll bring their own engine, but for the first couple of years, uh, they're going to have to use the Ferrari power unit. And I think they want to do it now because F1 is a huge cash cow right now. So we're living in what they call the salary cap era. So teams can only spend like 140 million per year versus a few years ago, most big teams spent 500, 600 million because there was no cap. But now they all have to spend the same amount of money, so they can actually be profitable now. In the past, most teams lost money because they just spent so much money on R&D. But now, if you have a sponsor that brings you 60 million, another one brings you 20, another brings you 5, and anything you bring above the 140 million, you're basically keeping plus all they have revenue generated from the TV deal and prize money and stuff like that. So, as an example, in 2020, Williams sold for 170 million to a brand here in the US called Doralton Capital. They're probably worth a billion now. So, but just because of the huge valuation and explosion of F1. So they made $170 million investment and now they're worth $1 billion. Last year, a small investment group bought into the Alpine team. They're owned by Renault. And I think they bought 25% for 250 million, making their valuation basically $1 billion. So that's why all these teams went in now. And Cadillac and Andretti have to pay F1. It's going to be around $350 million anti-dilution fund because now they're splitting the prize money. They'll be the 11th team. They have to split it amongst 11 instead of 10 now. So each team is getting a little bit less. But so Andretti has to pay this dilution fee. So to answer your question, why they're doing it, if they're not doing well, but they're able to get into the sport, it's a huge way to get an extra $1 billion in the bank just by existing, being part of the circus that we call F1. And I'm going to tell you now, it's probably going to be rough. Like the first few races, they're probably not going to finish. Like reliability is going to be crazy because they have to build everything basically from scratch. In the past, how most teams have entered, they buy a team that like they was going bankrupt or whatever, so they already bought like the facilities and the people that work there. They've basically hired everybody from scratch. They're literally starting from a blank piece of paper for the most part. And of course, they're hiring people with experience. But think back like Tesla in 2008, like we're gonna make a car from scratch and we're gonna become this huge, and how long it took them to actually have the ability to sell cars and be on the road and be relatively reliable.
Right, but they're doing a lot of other motorsport stuff, and they've been building cars for decades. You know what I mean? They're not
Yeah,
starting from scratch, especially if they're using a Ferrari engine.
So the engine part, it's tough. Again, we don't have enough time to go into the depth of it. But what I will say is, um, there's new regulations coming out in 2026, so that gives them a bit of an advantage because everybody's starting basically fresh with those regulations. But it's gonna be tough. I'm rooting for them. I hope they do really well. Especially because they're trying to do this thing to where like the base is here in the US and then they have like another base in the UK, and it's gonna be tough. But I'm rooting for them and I hope they do well. And hopefully it makes Courtney watch F1.
I mean, yeah. I have I cannot opine on this topic because I don't really follow F1, not because of lack of interest. But I mean, I like I'll log on the computer or turn it on TV, turn on Peacock, and I'll watch like IMSA. Like I watched a lot of IMSA races last year, like GT3 and GTD and GTD Pro and all that stuff. That was my jam. And I think the reason behind that is like those are cars that I can relate to, right? I can see myself someday owning a retired GT4 or GT3 car, right? You can't a normal guy can't go buy an Indy car, right? You can buy. I looked this up. I googled F1 car for sale. just you can buy a show car, which is basically a roller, which I learned all this for like 300 to 400 to $500,000 a car that doesn't run. It just looks like that's just an F1 car that doesn't run. So I was like, wow, you're not buying one of those. But no, I do. It is in my train of consciousness and something I'll probably turn on. It's getting mainstream and popular, and yeah, good stuff. I think it's good for. I think people in the United States getting interested in F1 is good for our hobby in general. I mean, it's a little
Right.
different than what most people get into, but people watched on TV about tire wear and this and that. It gets people interested and knowledgeable about racing, and the more people that know and are interested in racing means the less racetracks get shut down, means the more opportunity we have to do what we love. So yeah, I think it's a great thing for the US, great thing for us, and those are my very generic thoughts.
Yeah, that's very good. And that brings us now to before we talk about the GTD, before Jason leaves, because obviously now we know he's leaving soon. And I assume you're probably gonna be overseas for a couple of years. I don't know how long you'll be gone. But for one of our episodes, I want us all to do a bit of a drive somewhere. Could be within Florida, could be maybe from here to like Destin or something. I know it's far and we have kids and it's tough, but I think it'd be great for the channel to take, if we go with Jason, we can probably only go as far as the Rivian will go, but
I thought we were taking our convertibles.
or I said, or we can take all the convertibles because we do have three of those if John lets us use the Mustang. We have
I mean, honestly, convertible. It's hardtop, but convertible nonetheless.
or the
A
Miata.
road trip in that Miata?
Do you imagine?
Okay, if that happens, I'm in. Okay, if that.
But no, I think three mid 2000s cars or something like that, and take them somewhere for a drive, and I don't know, maybe we swap cars a little bit of Top Gear style, and everybody gets to drive them and just to see how they feel. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to do, and I don't want to call it like a Jason send off, but again, when he does leave, when will we have the chance to do that, right? Like right now, we all live relatively close to each other, within a couple hours at least from me to you guys. Um, so I'd like to do that. Guys in the comments, give us ideas on what to do in that road trip. But
Yeah,
yeah, I just wanted to bring it up to the channel's
totally
attention.
down. Yeah, totally down. I'm interested. Or the other perspective was like different class of cars, right? Like track car versus, I use this term loosely, but luxury car, electric, right? So, Jason, take the Rivian. I could take my Audi. You could take the mid 2000s and take the M3.
Right.
So yeah, that'd be fun too. But ideas in the comments. I've always thought we should do it at a track day. We should travel somewhere to a track day and do it like between sessions at Daytona or something. That would be fun.
That could be fun. Also, the Rolex next month, I go every year. I don't know if you guys have been. If not, we should try to make it to the Rolex. Always have extra wristbands. So I buy like four every year. And I just like to bring people with me. I camp 4 days every year. I'm obviously not expecting people to camp, but maybe not this upcoming year, but next year maybe we can do like if Jason, if you're in town, you can come in for a little bit if you're already overseas, but get an RV and split it and just enjoy the Rolex for 4 days. It's such an amazing time. Just something to think about.
Random
Uh,
question. I've always wondered this. So if you're on the infield of the 24-hour, you have to stay on the infield the whole 24-hour race, right?
no, you can leave whenever you want.
How do you get? Is there? Can you go under the track? How does that work in Daytona?
There's a tunnel, yeah.
Through the tunnel. Okay.
Yeah. So you can like I've walked from the infield outside of the Daytona, or there are like trams that just basically take you outside,
Oh,
or your own vehicle. Like so, I park in the infield, so I get a like a tow pass, but it's just my road car, and then you just drive off and you just go under the track and go do whatever and come back. Like sometimes you crave something at like 1 in the morning and you just can't get it at the track and you just leave and come back.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't. I guess I never paid enough attention to
And you
figure
can
that out.
wonder, so because my wristbands are like they include garage access, so you can go to a garage at 2 in the morning, and if there's a broken car, they're trying to fix it, trying to get back out. You literally walk up to the garage and watch them work on it. It's crazy, like the level of access that you get at the Rolex or at Sebring, you would never get that like in IndyCar or F1. Um, but you literally walk the paddock with the teams working on it, and you can ask drivers for autographs. That's how I ran into Michael Andretti. He was there with Acura at the time, and I stopped and chatted with him for good, I don't know, 5 minutes. And most
Oh,
people will stop and talk to you. That's how I met what's his name? Jordan. God, I'm terrible with names today. Um, the brothers, I forget their name. That they're racing IMSA. Alex is good friends with one of. But yeah, you just run into people and you ask for pictures, and as long as you're respectful,
yeah, nice, cool.
yeah. So something to consider. And again, like I've gone with people who like don't really, I don't say they don't care about cars, but it's like a party atmosphere with
Mhm.
cars around you for 24 hours. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Uh, so anywho,
I'm down. I'm down. All right,
now
GTD.
let's talk about the GTD. So from what I understand, it was some optimal track conditions. I think it was a 656 it did or something like that, or 657. I don't know.
Well,
It's all over Anthony's
T-shirt,
Facebook.
so you can buy a T-shirt and
Yeah, hang on. Let's see what the time was,
Yeah,
because
657, I think.
6:57. Okay,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. I mean, listen, my only issue with this car from day one has been the price tag. Not to say that there's not a lot of cars that can do what it did, and I'm sure again, if track conditions were a little bit better or they dialed in the car a little bit more, maybe they can get into the low 650s, high 640s. But I guess it all depends on what the ZR1 does, right? Like we don't have an official track time on that yet, and if the ZR1 comes out and does like a 645 or 640 and it
yeah,
costs
that
half of the
was
money of the GTD, then turn the
yeah,
lights off. Good night.
yeah. No, and obviously we're all we're all Mustang guys, at least to some, some more than others now. But we've between the three of us, we've had two GT350s, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see a Mustang go there and lay down a sub 7, right? If you look at the other cars on that list that have done under a 7, production cars, right? That have done under a 7-minute time at the ring, like it's a respectable list, right? And like the Mercedes AMG 1, right? That's a different car than the GTD, right? A GT3 RS, that's a different car than the GTD. Um,
Is it though? Because I'm pretty sure that's its direct competitor.
well, so me saying that subconsciously is just in my head the different class I have those cars in, right? And I think my main issue too is the price, right? I think it's there's going to be some collectors that buy it, and but nobody's going to track this thing hard, right? So at least I don't think. There may be some people that track it hard, but the people that if you're serious, if you have 300 grand to spend on a track car, are you going to spend it on a GTD, or are you going to buy a GT3 RS? Are you going to buy a GT3 car? Or, so let's put it this way. If I had 350 grand sitting in my pocket for a track car, I wouldn't buy a GTD.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I'm just not really a fan of the car at all. I watched the onboard lap. It came out today. And don't get me wrong, it's fast, and I've never been on the ring, so what the hell do I know? But I mean, yeah, to Courtney's point, I mean, Huracan Performante is like way faster, looks way better, and I don't know. I mean, I just don't think I don't know what Ford's doing. It's cool, I guess that Ford's doing it, but it looks big. The more I look at it, the more I don't like it. I'm trying to find like an angle where it's like really special and magical, but it still, to me, unfortunately, looks like a Mustang with a bunch of parts thrown on it. Like I don't know. It doesn't look that special to me. I wish Ford would have made a bespoke car. If they would have took that budget and built another Ford GT or something completely unique, I would have been all for it. But just like souping up your normal car for whatever reason, I guess I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
To me, the issue is the price. I agree with so I agree if they would have done something new, cool. But at the same time, I also agree, like being a Mustang owner, and just I'm happy to see them do it, right? To say we're gonna take our our Halo car. I know that it's not a Ford GT, but if you say Ford, almost anywhere you think of the Mustang, right? And so taking that car and doing what they did, cool. But again, it's not for bragging rights, because it's not like they took it and did something that nobody had ever done. Because again, Chevy Chevy literally just said, "Hold my beer," and that has basically topped them with the Corvette, right?
Right. I mean, Dodge basically did it 10 years ago with the Viper. They
Right.
crashed it, but they went 701 in a car that's manual. That looks way cooler. Sorry. Like, I would take an ACR any day over the GT.
Right, but can you make the argument that if the car wasn't, because at the time when the Viper ACR was out, that was expensive, right? I think it was like 130 grand, 150 grand at the time.
Yeah.
So you can make the argument, if the GTD costs today what something like like again ZR1 money or Viper ACR money, or in the ballpark, you could make the argument like, okay, they're 10 years late to the party, but they're here. But now when it costs, GT3 RS plus money, because and we know what the car is going to cost, but we don't know markups. We don't know, you know what I mean, like all those things.
Yeah.
And so unless you're a Mustang or Mustang lover or a collector, you're not gonna go say GT350 or or GTD like that. I just don't see that happening. Um,
Yeah.
Again,
And
maybe for a handful, but not for everyone.
and for really for, like, if we're talking just strict costs, I just go with this GT3 RS, the new one, did it in 649, right? GT3 RS for sale. I'm talking about the 2024. Okay, 405, 409. So 400K is what one of a 2024 GT3 RS costs. That's really what these GTDs I think are going to cost, with markup. So, I guess that kind of is in the same ballpark in cost, but we're talking 10 seconds difference. And could the GTD better track conditions do a 649? Maybe, but I don't think that's what this is that's what this is about. It's
Right. So again, sub 7 seconds. Again, hats off, congratulations, you guys did it. If they worked on the price, or if the car was something like, again, we know what it is. If we ever see one, say Anthony gets his, whatever the case is, and we see one, we're gonna be all over, like, okay, cool, awesome. But that's kind of where it stops, right? Like, all jokes aside, like if you take a car like that to like Sebring or even the firm, is it gonna do better than Courtney's car by a lot? Probably not. Like, it's just, maybe I hope I'm wrong. That's the one part I want to make clear. I'm not trying to be a hater. It's impressive, but I just, again, in my mind, it's all predicated with what happens when the ZR1 goes out there, and then they're gonna be like, "Whoa, the track wasn't wet." Da, da, da. But it's probably gonna be like 5 to 10 seconds quicker.
Yeah.
Just based on what I see.
yeah, I think my final thing is like if the ZR1 goes out there and even does the same time, that car automatically goes to the front of the list because it's so much cheaper.
Right.
Like cost to performance wise, the GTD just doesn't have it. Like
I mean,
could
cost and looks, I think the ZR1 looks loads better. Um, makes more power, mid-engine. I mean, there's just it just has so much more going for it now.
you should title this video "Three Dudes Hating on a GTD"
For 10 minutes straight.
for 10 minutes straight.
I really want to like the car. I do. I sit down, I
As
watch
do
the
I.
videos, I watch everything Ford put out, and I'm just not that impressed. It's gonna be faster than anything I probably will ever own. Great. But I don't know. It doesn't.
There is a time in my life where I will have I'm projecting into the atmosphere that I will have a $300,000 car someday. It's not going to be a GTD.
No.
Are we talking $300,000 new, or a car that used to cost $300,000, but now you bought it for like 100? Still impressive either way.
No, I mean I think I'm what I'm saying here. Maybe I'll say this a different way. I can fathom a world where I write a check for 300,000, and that's not me flexing. That's just someday, I can see that happening, right? If I do that, it's not going to be a GTD or the GTD equivalent. So that's all.
So I have a new title for the video. Dude writes $300,000 check for car.
But not
Maybe.
GTD.
But not GTD.
But not
Yeah,
GTD.
there you go.
He fathoms it. He fathoms it.
Well, no, listen.
I'm such a douche.
Whatever makes the algorithm tickle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to like it too, man. And again, maybe I mean I've seen one in person because I've seen like the one that they've paraded around, but
Yeah, and did it blow you away when you saw it? I mean,
no. Like so again, it looks like a Mustang, like a track Mustang. But so if they hadn't announced the GTD, right, and I saw it, I'd be like, oh, that's the car they're running in IMSA, or that's the car they're running. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing that said like, oh my God, this is like nothing they've ever done. And I think that's where the ZR1 and just the C8 in general, right? Like the first mid-engine they had, and then the Z06, and then that was impressive. And then now the ZR1 is like, again, they're raising the bar. And not that the GTD is not a level above, like, like a GT350 or the Dark Horse, because it is. But it's just not easy to justify the money. And again, we're talking like if we had it, right? Like we're talking like we could just go buy one tomorrow. I can't personally. But again, it's more that discussion of the what if. Like if I could, it probably wouldn't be it, unless I'm just some filthy rich guy or a collector or something. But there's so many other cars for the money that I would buy. Like if I'm spending 350 on or 300 or 350, I'd find a way to hold out and wait to buy like an LFA. Like I think that the Lexus LFA is like one of the sexiest cars of our lifetime. And the sound is unbelievable. Like for the engine alone, I would buy that car. You know what I mean? There's nothing that the GT does like that I'm like, oh my God, just because of this, I want to spend $500,000 on this car. Because let's not kid ourselves. Once they're for sale and people want to flip and whatever, the people who do want to buy them will probably pay close to $500,000 for them.
I wonder if Ford is going to stick to their production numbers on that, because
What was that supposed to be?
I think pretty low, 300, 500, something pretty low. But
That's crazy.
If they start pumping them out, they're gonna depreciate so fast. I think if they actually start building thousands of these cars.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they're able to ask 300,000 for this car, is because they promise like such a low production, which is why collectors are just already scooping them up.
Yeah.
And we got our friend Anthony, and he's not a car collector, and I hope he gets it somehow.
I hope he gets it too.
I hope he gets it, and I hope he drives it. He will, if he gets it. But I think that audience, like him, is like 1% of the people that probably are
very
buying
small
cars.
audience, right?
Well, because that's also the and again, I hate the way this sounds, but that other 99% are the people who can afford that kind of car.
Yeah.
And how many people do we know with a GT3 RS that they don't like? They'll take it to Cars on Coffee, but they're not going to take it to the track. Like there's just a very small number of people who track their GT3 RS, and if they do, twice a year and 10 seconds of the pace. So
friends with one person who has a GT3 RS, but it's a 2016, and he beats the piss out of it. That's a $150,000 car, not a $400,000 car, right? So,
and still a sub 7-minute car. Maybe. I don't know what they did in 2016.
The 992s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's find out. 2016 GT3 RS.
Yeah, I bet it's
Nurburgring time.
I have a feeling it's a
720.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, those are
still fast.
Pretty big jump, yeah.
Did you guys see? Not to go off topic, and we're gonna wrap up here in a second. But did you see they took a Ford GT with new tires to the Nurburgring a couple days ago? I mean, I don't know when it was, but the video just got released like today or a couple days ago, and it did like a 710 for a car that is like 20 plus years old. Like pretty good.
You know what makes me mad a little bit about Ford's video? You know, I don't know if you guys watched the onboard lap or whatever, but like the metrics or whatever, the information on it, they're running it in kilometers. And it's like your whole audience is probably American that's going to buy that car. And for some reason, it's just hard to me to like quickly transpose that from kilometers to miles an hour. Like I'm watching this thing, I'm like, wow, 250. Oh, wait, what is that? Okay. Oh, it's only doing like 120 miles an hour. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that one kind of baffles me too.
They should have ran it in miles per hour.
Yeah. So, quick F1 segue. I think one of the things that kind of helps people in America is that the coverage that we get is the UK coverage, and in the UK they use miles per hour. So sure, sometimes they'll use kilometers because the rest of the world uses kilometers, but a lot of the times they talk miles per hour. And I think that helps the audience because if I'm like, oh, he's going 230 miles an hour or 230 kilometers an hour, then you don't need people like that. Doesn't sound impressive. Like you don't know what it is. But if they're like, oh, he took that corner at 130 miles an hour, then people compare it to their own vehicles, like, oh shit, that's super impressive. So to your point, if we knew in something that is relatable to us, like again, in my car, like turn 4 at the firm, I think the fastest I've ever done was like maybe 79 or 80 miles an hour, and that was like full push, right? And so I see any car doing anything like that anywhere, just taking a corner at that speed, I'm like, fuck, that's fast. And so again, it related.
You can take it at 88.
Ooh, that's what you've done. That's crazy.
Yes, high 80s. I don't know if it's 88, but I've definitely been high 80s.
Let me ask one more question on the onboard video. I don't know, Courtney, have you watched it? The onboard? Okay. Yeah. So they're on the. I'm not an expert. They're on that long straight. Dude, is it a 6-speed DCT or 7-speed? Doesn't matter. If it's a 6-speed, he's in like 5th. He's like at the top of 5th, and he shifts, and the whole thing just like bogs down. Clearly, it's some type of like overdrive car. Like car gets slower when he upshifts. Why? Why in that car have an overdrive gear? Why isn't every gear like alive? Did you guys see that?
I didn't catch that. So like I saw the top speed on the lap was 301
kilometers.
Which is 189, 190 miles an hour. And I did catch that, but I don't know. Yeah, you would think that would just be
I don't know. Are they having to like do some EPA rules? Like I
was gonna say, so you got to remember that this is supposed to be a production car, so because Nurburgring times when they're official is supposed to be this is how it came off the shelf, right? So could they take that car, do a different set of tires, tune the diff? You know what I'm saying? Like go to a different gear ratio, whatever. They'll probably be a lot quicker. So it could be something like that. Could have also been driver error, right? Like we don't know if he would have been better off holding it through there at the red line. It's just tough to know. I'll watch it. I'll watch the onboard. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. I think let's try to bring episode 7 a little bit sooner. I know it took us a little while to get episode 6 recorded. But awesome, guys. Thank you for the updates. I think we need to get a date on the books to do our little trip, hopefully before it gets miserably hot outside. We've enjoyed a bit of cool weather. I don't remember a winter that has been this way, but anything else before we wrap?
Nope.
I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you, my dudes. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Subscribe.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.